Okay, so after talking about the event itself, I also want to talk about the units. So I've spoken before. Don Quixote, if you don't have Telepole or you don't have W Don, go get her. It's great. And if you do not want to get her, then you can consider pulling for Ryoshu and only Ryoshu. So this is my conclusion after looking through and testing out the units for a little bit. So Lifetime Stew. In my opinion, I think this ego actually falls flat significantly. The problem is that it is a tail hit based ego. It needs tail coin to inflict one burn, which is really not worth it because you'd rather be hitting heads, and this ego wants you to hit tails to keep 18 base power instead of rolling hits, which minuses 8 make it 10. This is a ridiculously low amount of damage. So understandably, it is not supposed to be targeted to an enemy, it's supposed to be targeted to one of your allies. So it targets the unit with the least HP, and you ideally want to target an ally because you don't want this goofy ass base power to hit an enemy. And you also want to try and get the resource amp, which is what he's all about. He's all about tail hitting. The problem is that tail hitting and inflicting 7 burn is kind of like it's kind of rough, really. I mean, okay, if you roll heads, at least you heal for 10%, but you also have Impending Day on the same slot, so and Impending Day is so much more consistent because you just need to kill something and you get the heal. I mean, you could argue that if you're fighting a boss, then you need to do this. But rather than RNG, why would you not use like Fluid Sac or Pursuance if you really need the healing? Because this is a 6 cost. Might as well go and pay 7 for Pursuance, right? It's kind of dumb that this ego is relying on you rolling tails. I will admit that this event does encourage you to get a lot of tail hits because you will be at quite low sanity if you are not killing the chickens. The problem is the chickens are also so squishy and they just die, so there's really no problem in getting your sanity back that you've lost. So tail hitting is not going to be very consistent if you want to just use it for this event. I really don't like this ego at all. I don't even think it's worth it for you to pull. Just for the bongi farming. Although if you want to collect, then please feel free. It's just I really don't like this ego. I think it doesn't have any potential. I think the only thing that it has going for it is that it has healing, and that's really it. It's AoE healing, alright? It can target 3 slots indiscriminately, and it targets units with least HP. So yeah, it's AoE healing, but there's Pursuance, and Impending Day also does the same thing, but it's everyone instead of 3 slots. It's just inferior Impending Day in my opinion. Yeah, I can't justify this ego. I can't think of a reason to use this ego. If anyone does think of an ego, of a use for this ego, please tell me in the comments. I want to know, because I really can't think of any. If you have something creative that you can think of, then yes, please let me know. I want to know. Okay. Besides that, we also have the Chef de Cuisine Ryoshu. Crazy unit. She's insane. If KK Ryoshu is bleed, then this one is just generic. So the passive is great. It's 5 own. After defeating an enemy, you heal the ally with the lowest HP for 15. Like, that's free, right? It's just 5 lust and all you need to do is own it. That's pretty free. And if you put on the bench, when an enemy is defeated, the ally with the lowest HP heals 15 HP. So it's like Gregor. She is a Gregor. And then we got great coinages, great base powers here, great growths also. 0.79 growth is pretty decent. It's not Gregor or Ting Tang or Faust level, but it's pretty damn solid. And it all comes down to these coins being very, very solid. So you have a 2 coin on your first skill, which is great. There's Wrath, Envy, and Lust. So you can feel Polysac, you can feel Impending Day, you can feel 4th Match Flame, a little bit of 4th Match Flame, not really a lot of 4th Match Flame. You actually no, this is Wrath. No, 4th Match Flame is Wrath, so it's 4 Wrath and 2 Pride. Yeah, okay, so you can partially, well, majorly feel 4th Match Flame, yeah. So it's still pretty damn good round of elements. You can do a lot of things with these elements. And this 4+3+3 is great. It's like hack, but a bit weaker because of the growths. Inflict +1 bleed count on hit on the first coin, so you know it slightly supports bleed. Nothing too special about +1. And then on hit, gain 1 appetite. Appetite I've been testing. It's you will just be like you won't really notice appetite. It will just like happen, and then you'll be like, oh okay, it happened. It's not particularly amazing. It's just the base power of this skill is pretty damn solid. It's like a hack. This one is great. This is actually the same amount of coins as Shank, except there's no like repeat coin roll here. It doesn't Shank for the 4th time, for example, so it doesn't have the super high damage potential of Shank. It's still pretty damn solid though, because inflict 1 bind, that's fine. Hit inflict bleed, that's fine. And if target has bleed or paralyze, you just inflict 3 HP down, and the target will have bleed because all you need to do is roll hits here. And if you do not have bleed anywhere else, then you may have a little bit of trouble getting this inflict 3 HP down. HP down, I didn't really notice it too much because this boss and these enemies don't heal that much. There were some K-Cop guys, but the K-Cop guys you just one shot. You don't really care about the healing down. Yeah. So far I haven't really noticed her. I have to test in Yasunyata to make sure this works on Yasunyata. If it does work, then hey, that's a pretty damn solid character really. But honestly, like even ignoring these statuses, you can just look at the coinage and be like, wow, these coinages are amazing. This is just Shank. And it's a purple Shank too, so it's really good. Skill tree, if I can cook anything. Cook anything is disgusting. It is 6, 9, 12, 15, 3 to 15 range. It has the boost damage by 5% of target's basic HP up to 20. And when I tested it on the boss, she did basically 180 damage on this skill tree. It's disgusting. Yep. I don't think I need to explain much. This skill is as straightforward as it looks. If the target has a lot of missing HP, it's a boss, you use this skill tree, hit, the guy will explode.
No.
Oh my goodness! So it's pretty damn solid. Defense skill, never used it. She's a great clasher, so you don't want to use a defense skill. Okay, and yeah, that's it. ryoshu, definitely one to have. If you do have other, I mean, she's a great unit to bring if you're boss fighting. So I really think she's going to be another top tier unit along with W Dawn, because if you stack a lot of fragility on the target and then you pop this skill, this is going to do a butt ton of damage. She'll basically do 200-ish. It's almost a rip space. It's a rip space that, and the requirement for this rip space is not even charged. It's just the enemy needs to be missing some HP. So yeah, I think it's pretty damn solid. I would highly recommend her. I would not recommend the Eagle, but I would recommend her. And then for the rest of the units, unfortunately, I do not want to recommend them. So I unfortunately don't have the Dawn stew yet, so I can't judge her. In order to get Dawn stew, I would need to grind for... I need to grind until 2200, which I really don't want to do in one day, so I'm not going to review her now. I'll only review the tree, so I will review her once I get her. And then let's talk about Gregor. Yes. So Sous-chef Gregor is abysmal, and when I was reviewing him initially, I talked about how his coins would disappoint me, and yes, his coins disappoint me. So he's actually a very unique unit in that he has separate growths for each skill. He's the first of his kind. 0.7 on skill 1, 0.65 on skill 2, and 0.76 on skill 3. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed yet, but he has 5 plus 1. Yep, 5 plus 1 on a skill tree with a 0.76 growth. And he applies Paralyze on the same turn. He has 3 to 7 speed, so it can sometimes happen. Heals based on target's bleed is whatever, really. He does have 2 bleed count and 2 binds, and his skill 1 does inflict Paralyze. He's all over the place. He doesn't do damage, so we will not use him. That's really it. This is a great passive and a great support passive as well if you're running a lot of Lust. But the thing is, right, all Gregors have something like this. Healing 8. So if you look at the base Gregor is, as long as you own 3 Gloom, you heal 5 at the start. And if you own 3 Gloom, you also heal 5 if you're on the bench. Then if you look at the G Gregor has own 4, and if you're less than 25%, you heal 5% max HP, and you own 4 of the Gluttony, and the lowest ally will heal 5 HP after winning a clash. And if you give that ally more moves, then she will keep getting more clashes and get more healing. So if you have this, you would never consider this. And if you have this, you probably still would not consider this. And the reason behind that is that this base Gregor has Gloom, has Green here, and Sloth here. And green plus sloth equals to legerdemain. This guy has green but no sloth. And his clashing power is worse, in my opinion, than this Gregor. Because this Gregor, even though he has 0.62, can still pop Legend Domain and still provide healing support. I really like using base Gregor when I was doing my F2P run, but I don't know if I would ever consider using this guy for my F2P run at all. Because, I don't know. Like, if I wanted to use him to face tank and generate body sack energy... Okay, wait, no. I'll take it back, alright? I think this Gregor is good if you want to generate body sack energy, some legitimate energy, and yeah, just envy. The envy part is not important because this skill is really abysmal. It's 5+1+1. Okay, so rethinking it, I think you would take this Gregor over the base Gregor if and only if you want the elements. The other base Gregor is decent for generating Gloom Source if you do not have a Gloom Source. And this Gregor is good for generating body sack energies. Lust is usually the thing that people are missing out of when they are trying to do body sack. And the green here is the main source for Legerdemain. Legerdemain needs more. Yeah, okay. So between these two, I would say that they are comparable. You can choose which one you want. If you need Gloom Source, I would recommend this Gregor. If you need the rest of the elements, then he actually has a pretty good layout of elements. Yep. This guy fully funds Legerdemain though, so that is another consideration. Problem is that he's also not very good at clashing. He has 0.62 growth. Okay, so forget everything I said. The magic of editing will fix that. If you have G Gregor, you probably take him all the time. And if you have the rest of these, then you choose between which element you want. That's it. The clashing power, they're actually both about the same. This guy can technically win more, but his coin power is so bad, I would actually not consider him an actual clasher. I just don't like this unit at all. I don't think his passive is great. Okay, so in terms of pulling the units, prioritize ryoshu the most, and everything else is whatever. So it's either ryoshu, W down, or teleport. Basically, it's what I'm telling you to pull. And if you do not want to follow that, then you can feel free to just pull whoever you want because it's your money, your choice. Yep. I'm just thinking that maybe in the future we would still not see much value for Sinclair's lifetime steal. Yeah. If it does happen though, then well, I'm going to eat my words. But I really only see ryoshu as being the damage queen here. She's the only interesting thing of all the other egos and the IDs. It's unfortunate. W Dawn, I pulled my W Dawn, so I'm very happy. I also managed to get teleport. I'm super happy. So now I have my W Dawn on my account, I have my ryoshu on my account, so I'm pretty happy with these two. I don't care about Gregor too much, and I don't have the lifetime steal Dawn yet. So that one I will come back to that. Yep. So that's it. Oh, and I wanted to give you some tips for whether you should spark or pull them. So we're gonna get probably one more season 1 ID. So I'm not sure who's that gonna be. When you consider sparking, remember that there is another ID coming, and you might want to hoard a little bit just to make sure you see what those IDs are. So I sparked these two really early. You could wait until near the end of season 1 before you spark, which is probably the safer choice. Don't be me. Don't spark on a whim. And yeah, that's probably the safest choice. If you want to pull, I would recommend pulling because these banners are pretty decent. I would recommend pulling just to lower the amount of things you need to spark. So I sparked the teleport and I sparked the ryoshu now. So what you could do is you could pull for either one of these, which will reduce the number of things you needed to spark. And then at the end of season 1, you would have a huge amount of resources to spark whoever you really, really want. So yeah, I would recommend pulling a little bit just to see if you can get any of them. And if you can't get any of them, then feel free to save up and wait for the end of season 1 before you decide who you want to spark. Because we do not know what the season 1 last 000 ID is. Yep. So that is all for my advice, and that is all for this banner. I think this banner is pretty damn good because it has W Dawn and ryoshu. So recommend you to pull for those, and also pull Teleport Dawn if you do not have Teleport Dawn. Yep. Okay, that's all. Thank you all for watching, and hope you guys enjoyed the event. The story was really great. Bye bye.